We're getting on with the show and we're getting to the news review segments. Now being joined by Honorable Tete Chai Theophilus. He is the former Member of Parliament for the Ablekuma Central Constituency. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Samuel Pine as Ashanti Regional MPP Secretary. Chairman, welcome.
Thank you.
So, yesterday, the planting for jobs was started. Of course, we'll check what's on the front page. Kindly pass me the daily graphic. Yes, so Daily Graphic says government unveils a great blueprint to provide food, create job local. Engineers take charge of Ghana Gas. Ultimatum to Galamsey operators ends as 554 excavators leave mining sites. The Ghanaian Times says 750,000 jobs or to be employed. President says planting for food and jobs program. One district, one factory takes off in June, and 2 arrested with ammunition at Agbogboshi. 24 wee peddlers grabbed. The Daily Guide says Nanado adores 750,000 jobs. Galamsey's vacay sides, Chinese beg. Ibrahim Mahama back to Yoko over dud checks, and I think that the rest we've done them already. So let's get into the details. Yesterday, Mr. Sampine, I start with you. The planting for jobs was launched in the Brong-Ahafo region. We're told that 750,000 jobs have been created at this. First, tell me your impression about the event and whether it has that potential to create the 750,000 jobs that we're talking about.
Well, thank you very much, and let me say good morning to our viewers and those who will be doing the audio listening.
Right.
Too. Yes, it's important when you take the economy of the country and look at it, agriculture is the mainstream. About 70% plus of Ghanaians are into agriculture.
Okay.
Then it tells you it's a good initiative. In the 70s, early 70s, when we were going to school, I remember the Champon Operation Feed Yourself, which was spearheaded by Colonel Panasco.
Right.
And I remember I was having some tomato garden in our backyard at Pidwe Estate, and which I got a little from it to buy my books and other things for schooling.
Right.
So it's an important venture. When you look at the focus of the government, that to increase production of maize by about 30%, rice about 40% plus, sorghum, and that the concentration is on the cereals and vegetable, then you look at it as a viable thing. The 750,000 jobs that the earmark for creation, direct and indirect. When I'm directly involved in agriculture, I do the production. Okay. At the end of the year, if the silos that they want to put across the districts to store the produce would affect the farmers positively, because the losses that we incur in production of food crops and the rest will be minimized, if not eliminated entirely. Right. So if we have this minimized, that means money will be accrued to the farmers in amounts that will be appreciable. Also, there will be markets for their produce, so they get the benefits on that point. Those who are going to benefit indirectly, for example, with the silos, for instance, if I produce about a hectare of maize and I want to cart my maize to the silos for storage, definitely I'm going to hire the services of a...
Are these silos available? I know that Dr. Nkrumah built some of the silos which have been left to rot.
Yeah, we have a few, but I know that as part of this planting for food and jobs, there's a component that's going to deal with the construction of silos.
And when are we to see these silos?
Definitely, once they rolled up this program, and which is a process they're going to do.
It's been launched now, so when is it expected to start? There are 5 concentrations: maize, rice, soybean, sorghum, and vegetables.
Yeah, the planting season has started. As you know, last 2 weeks, the government, as part of this program, subsidized fertilizer, especially for the production of vegetable and cereal crops, by 50%, and that's a boost. They also imported quantities of improved seedlings or seeds for the maize and rice farmers. And once the farming season in Ghana started in parts of the country, definitely they are rolling out this. I quite remember some 2-3 weeks ago, this model was somewhere inaugurated in some of the districts, and this was done by the national by the president at the national level at Goso, which is a good deal. And I believe if we have some of these and the motor riders who used to cut are also benefiting. The laborers who are going to carry those maize into the motor carriers and to the size that they are going to store are also going to benefit. So it's let's look at it holistically, and I believe it's a good move if we give it a push. If every Ghanaian, all of us, including my friend Tete, will support it for us.
Has he said that
when we are celebrating, when I celebrate our home award, there'll be enough maize for the people here. That's when I come from. I say I'll enjoy it.
Of course. Well, Honorable, good news. This has been launched.
Yeah. First of all, let me say good morning to fellow Ghanaians, especially those watching your program this morning.
Okay.
Anything that will ensure that the average Ghanaian, in terms of livelihood, is enhanced. I believe that every Ghanaian is ready to support. So for me, it is a very good initiative. But there are some challenges.
Tell me about them.
Yeah, and even the Ghana Agricultural Workers Union have also raised issues concerning how this policy is going to be implemented. Over the years, various governments have put in initiatives to ensure that agric within this country is enhanced.
Right.
But the issue is how sustainable some of these programs are. And that has been the question. You quite remember in the days of President Kufuor, we have the, what was it? Where you had the starch factories and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, exactly, it became a white elephant.
2001.
The same thing in the days of the late former president and John Dramani Mahama. Several initiatives have been put in place just to enhance the agricultural base of this country. But we are still finding it very difficult to feel that resources that have been invested. And what are some of the issues that are making it difficult for people to go into farming, for us to have the benefit of the investment that governments have made over the years? The key issues are, one, marketing of the produce. Because at the end of the day, if you are encouraged to go into a particular area of farming, and at the end of the day, you don't have the market, even if you have the market, the prices in terms of how your produce are bought, it's not value for money. Then it becomes a white elephant. The person goes into it, within a year or two, he backs off. And you see, if you look at the focus of this particular program, government is claiming that at the end of the day, it is going to generate about 750,000 jobs. In terms of how they came about the numbers, it is up to government to explain.
Mr. Sampine talks about a chain.
So to explain to the good people of this country how the 750,000 jobs are going to be generated. It is very important. But for me, which target groups are we looking at? Is it the youth? Or is it those who are already in farming, who are even at a stage that we say they are getting weaker and weaker? Are we looking at the youth? If we are looking at the youth, then for me, it is a laudable idea. But if we are looking at those who are already into small-scale farming, because government is saying that it is targeting those above 5 acres. And if you say above 5 acres, it means those who want to start agric business will not be able to participate in it. Because me, as a politician who wants to do, let's say,
an acre or
exactly to start with, it means I'm not going to benefit from this program. So government must be very clear as to those who are going to be involved in the setup of this food for jobs. Those who are going to, in terms of acres, is it going to be lowered for more people to benefit? Because if you look at the parameters that have been set now, it means those within 1 to 4 will not be able to participate
Mr.
in the program.
Let's get them. So he
defend.
spoke about marketing and the pricing of same, and then he's spoken about the acres. What response would you have?
With the acreage, I had the opportunity to have had discussions with the agri minister about a week or so ago. I wanted an insight into this program, and I met with the chief director of the ministry and some other personnel that they gave me an insight into it. And the acreage that they are talking about, it's not that we should start with 5 acres. They are looking at a minimum ability of 5 acres, so that when you are starting for, if you have an acre, you have the potential.
Is it maximum or minimum?
They talk about not the maximum of.
So that if I have an acre, I can start.
Yes, you can start, but you develop
project.
it up to at least as part of the program. You should hold at least a minimum of 5 acres. The importance of this policy is that if the acreage is increased, definitely productivity of the production also goes higher than expected, so that they can meet their targets.
Yeah,
but with the marketing, because I've told you about the silos that they intend put in now. And the control of the price. And when you have storage facilities, you avoid the issues of glut on the markets. And you know that Ghana, when foodstuffs and other things flood the markets, they get rotten and the prices go
Some are
low.
even not transported to the markets.
They get the bad roads and all that. And they are looking at all of these things. It's a comprehensive thing that we need. So it's important that you mention those who are going to be involved. This program especially is targeting especially the youth, but those who are in it already, they are fit.
So the lands, I'm worried about the availability of the lands. Now that we seem to have real estate people competing actively with farmers for the land that are available. So you find that even buffer zones have now become a place and for real estate persons to want to go and grab.
You see,
if you go towards the Brie area, or that land where the water used to descend to field, the mountainous area, it's all been taken over.
Of course, there's been taken over, some taken over. But if you look at improved seedlings, improved mechanization, and other methods of farming, even you have 5 acres as a start, the production or the produce that you accrue from that portion would be higher than farming on maybe 100 acres, depending on the methods and the type of seeds that you plant and the technology that will be available to these farmers. And the extension officers, we have mentioned that the extension officers are trained, and they're also going to the field to do the training for these youth and those who are already in it and want to be a part of it.
It's one thing wanting to do it, and another thing having the willingness to want to partake in it.
It's all about
a lot of young people have not found agri to be attractive because of the challenges they have. For example, funding.
You see, I come from a farming community. My mom is a farmer. My father was a teacher. I'm also into some little farming too. I know that people who want to go into farming, they face challenges with funding, especially the loans that they need to take about. But when you go to the village, lots of people, those who are starting the streets of Accra and Kumasi and the rest, sleeping under the Dubai Bridge and all that, if they have that little funding to start something, definitely.
Is the funding available? I know that the Canadian High Commission is doing this. ADB has made a promise, but will it work? We have
there's another component on the NYE, the National Youth Authority, that will target agriculture, and it's part of it. Then also the Maslow scheme that has the potential of for people to access loans from the scheme to get into farming. So it's a comprehensive thing. What you need is the support of all of us. I believe that every morning you just use 1 minute to mention planting for food and jobs all over. For the next year, we're going to
Honorable, I know that under your watch, under the NDC's watch, the National Service Scheme did a lot in the area of planting. Is that a model that you will approve, or, if you like, propose for to drag the youth into this?
You see, that is why we need to be a little bit skeptical in terms of the intentions that government has for us as a country now. The issue of sustainability is very important. You know, National Service, at the time that they went into that large-scale cereal farming and so on and so forth. They had a very good year.
Right.
But it was short-lived.
Exactly.
It was short-lived. They had so many challenges. And as of now, we've not been told what went wrong. Okay? So that will also be a guide. Because initially, when they started that project, the returns were very, very high.
Right.
So the question is, why was it not sustained? So these are the questions that we need to ask. You see, if you look at the current program that is being embarked upon, the questions that we need to ask ourselves, is the timing right? Because when it comes to farming, for us, our conditions, in terms of the weather conditions, are also very important. So the question is the timing right?
It's the planting season is just about beginning, correct?
Yeah,
right.
It started in certain places.
And that's why I'm asking.
But I know that clearing of land and so on and so forth starts around November, right?
No, it depends on
the weather conditions.
The weather conditions
Okay.
and the area of course.
Okay.
When it goes to the northern parts, I think it's about after May, June, July.
Okay.
But in the central parts and the middle belts, from February they start the clearing. Then by March, April, the planting has started.
Okay.
Right?
So those are the questions that we need to ask, because at the end of the day, if people become interested and then they venture into it, and at the end of the day, the timing is not right, then it will be a waste of resources. So these are some of the things that government needs to look at. The supply of inputs. How is it going to be done?
Right.
How are those supplies going to be done? Is it going to be done at the right time? Is it going to be done at the time that the farmer does not need that services? And then it becomes a waste. What are we going to do in terms of transportation cost? Because after the person has gone into farming and then it's time to harvest, transportation of the food produce is also another issue.
Exactly.
What measures are going to put in place to ensure that the farmers will benefit in terms of the cost in transportation? Because currently, as we talk now, in terms of transport costs, has gone very high. So let's factor all these things into this project so that at the end of the day, it becomes sustainable, because a lot of resources are going to be invested in this project. And we don't want it to become a white elephant. The sustainability issues are the things that we are all looking out for. And we support government in this initiative.
Absolutely,
but,
yes.
But with the National Service, I know that they've even started plowing in a giraffe, for instance. Okay. And it's all about how it was managed. That's why it's important that wherever people take over institutions, they need to get to the drawing board, look at what went wrong, so that remediation is...
I think that the problem is because we don't have a blueprint. Everybody gets in, they want to do what they want to do.
That's why this program
One of the major challenges is the marketing aspect.
Okay.
It's very important, because look, you spend so much producing something,
right,
and at the end of the day, you realize that after selling the produce, you were not able to even break even.
Right.
So it will not
There's
even
no motivation
to continue.
That's what I told you, as part of especially that's the grains and all that.
Yeah.
So the concentration I think is on grains and vegetable. That's why there's an intention of making sure districts are.
Finally, regarding funding, which is important. So I am a young man. I have an interest to get into farming, to be part of this initiative. I want funding. How easy is it going to be for me?
Yeah, they have trained field officers from the ministry. Going to work with extension officers, and the district assemblies are also going to be part of it, and they're going to use their local government system so that people who are interested will have a place. So
it will not be who you know
at all. It's not going to be. I wish to apply myself.
You want to apply?
Yeah. You see, last week I met with some guys who had cultivated. Last year they cultivated about 700 acres of maize. They are into mango production. They want to get into large scale and maybe to manufacturing. So we're even targeting them for the one district, one factory matter.
I see.
And they had about 700 acres of maize as part of it. And the maize went rotten. A lot of this ended in the homes of orphanages and all that, because there were no silos available.
One district, one factory starts in June.
Yeah.
What is it? What form is it going to take? So in Honorable's constituency, for example, I know there's a district there, Ablekuma. Is he going to have a factory in his district?
It depends on the facilities, the material available. Definitely.
In his constituency, what material is available, Honorable Tetecha? In your
We don't even have the land.
But
it is not possible. But maybe we use Loso Park. Loso Park.
But Accra is part. His constituency is part of the Accra district.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know, so if Spintex will have a large space for maybe manufacture of soup and the rest, definitely Accra, like my central benefit.
No, it doesn't fall under us.
No, but
it doesn't fall. They are different.
Yeah.
There are different sub-metros.
Yeah.
There's Okaikwe, there's a
no,
Blakuma.
some metros are not districts.
Okay.
We
Accra
have
AMA
yeah, Accra
is the
is
district.
AMA.
Yes.
AMA,
It's
and
a
it covers
Exactly.
south, west,
But
north.
the North Industrial area.
Do you have land?
But they are.
Are there lands? Are there lands? Are there the lands?
But you see, if even you take, for instance, if you do not have space in Accra, there are existing factories that can be, and now as part of about 220 million Ghanas that have been earmarked for a stimulus for functioning factories that are having problems with finances to help
Some
them.
say it was not properly thought through before the promise was
Who
made.
says so? Maybe it's about the.
Because if we don't have lands available,
It's
we
about
don't
the
have,
pessimists. Now, when you go to Wasa Memfi, for example, there's the potential to get about 2-3 factories there. Because when you even want to go into production of toothpick by using bamboo, you have it in abundance.
But here in Accra, that's the concern. And you know that the numbers are large in Accra. So if we cannot find the space to
the numbers are large in Accra because the opportunities were not there in the other districts.
Okay,
A lot of them
let me come in. Yeah, I want to.
A lot of them are moving to
help
Accra.
that
So when you
direction.
have it in Gomua, for instance, and those who came from Gomua to settle in Accra, definitely a lot of them will get back there, and it will also stop people from moving to choke Accra.
What I realize is the fact that it is not government that is going to use its resources in providing these factories.
Not all the resources from
Government is relying on
the
private sector. So I think in our areas where land is an issue, where new projects cannot begin, what government needs to do is to get hold of a private business person who already has land, who is already into any productive venture. And then that person is supported to expand whatever business that he is into, so that it can generate into more employment.
Yeah, that's why that 220 million Ghana initial is for stimulus for existing companies.
Okay, let's move on now. Ultimatum to Galamsey operators ends as 554 excavators leave mining sites, and following a 3-week ultimatum to illegal miners to end their operations, 554 excavators have been moved from illegal mining sites to open grounds in mining communities, and dredging, we're told, has been moved from the River Birim, River Cobra, River Tano, River Mansi, River Bia, River Pra, River Ofing, and the Black Volta. We seem to be making some strides in this direction, and always the MPP will go back to what the NDC tried to do under Minister Indus Afuseni and how it didn't work and how they are making strides and all of that. But this is a national crisis on our hands. Have you been satisfied so far with the roadmap that Mr. John Peter Amewo has put in place?
Well, the good people of this country will only be satisfied when results have been achieved. This is not the first time that governments have taken the initiative to ensure that this menace is stopped once and for all. But it's always short-lived as a result of sometimes political interference and the will not to carry through because of some of the implications.
Okay.
But first of all, let me commend the media network that have come together to ensure that pressure is being put on government to ensure that this menace is resolved once and for all. And for that matter, I would like to commend all the media.
We thank you.
The press, print, and so on and so forth, for the good work that you are doing. I believe that if the media is to work the way you are working now, politicians will always be up to the task. So it shouldn't be a 9-day wonder.
Okay.
Definitely, with the results that are coming in, you need to go back and then assess whether the things that we are being told are the facts on the ground. Because yes, with these Galamsey operations, when they realize that the security agencies are going to be involved, that is what they do. They pull back. But the question is, are we going to sustain that effort? Is it going to be sustainable? If we are assured that there's going to be sustainability, then what we are being told today can be halted. Right. But if it's just the minister visiting areas, announcing it publicly, and then these Galamsey operators withdrawing because they've realized that the security people will be in, the government officials will be in, definitely they will withdraw.
Okay.
But the question is, after the minister's visit, what next?
Right.
Who is going to be the watchman over those activities? And that is very important. So for me, it is not about people pulling out of the mining sites, no, but how sustainable is that pull-out going to be?
We're told that the politicians themselves are involved. So
that one, there is no doubt.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's a fact.
So then it makes, I mean, the people who are supposed to be chasing the offenders are the ones who are
perpetrating. That is why the media should open its eyes very wide and then ensure that pressure is put on government to nip this thing in the bud.
We have opened our eyes, but if you know some politicians who are in this, you could perhaps run the names by us so we can put it on our touch screen, name and shame them.
Okay.
And then they will know.
We'll visit those areas and see whether they are still working.
Oh, but you
I know a lot.
You know a lot of them. So we can call you after
yes,
now.
Yes, members of
Parliament. You're smiling. We're told that it's rampant around your area in the Shanti region.
Hey.
And even a gentleman on social media who says that they use monies from Galamsey operations to fund the party to bring it to power. And so the fact that you want to clamp it down, maybe you should take your time for them and have it. We've seen Bronzy One, we've seen all of them. Clearly, there's a national problem on our hands. But to the extent that they say they use money to fund your party to come to power, it poses a big question, doesn't it?
You see, let me start from the angle of funding my party. Those who I never received any monies from them. I'm the regional secretary. At least I'm deep into the operations of the party at the regional office. And if people donated, possibly maybe it went to some hands, but not to my party. But you see, that brings about how we also fund political parties in the country. But that's not the matter. The matter is that they are destroying the lands, the water bodies, and everything for the future generations.
We'll get into that, but the matter is that if those who are supposed to be cracking the whip are the beneficiaries of wrongdoing and is alleged.
That's where I was going to go to. You see,
because it gives them the impetus to make those calls.
As Honorable Tetechai said, it's a fact. I mean, when you look at those who are involved, you get the businessmen, the politicians, the traditional authority, people from the military and the police, the security services.
Right.
Apart from the task force. So it's a concerted thing. We need to be very circumspect and understand the situation, that what is going on as we see on the screens, and when we move around the regions. And during the elections, I traveled a lot to the Mansia district and some other places. And I mean, it was appalling. You see, I remember I went to Takwa as part of my program. I was doing some governance and sustainable development. And it has some dealings with Galamsey and making the environment sustainable for our future generations. And when I went to Takwa and I encountered some of these Galamseyers, I mean, they told me, one guy told me, using Bob Marley's statement or philosophy, that in the abundance of water, the food shouldn't be tasty. Right. So he was telling me that in the abundance of the gold, they shouldn't stay there unemployed.
Right.
I was also talking about alternative livelihood with some other guys, and they were telling me if the white man or the Chinese know that pawpaw fetch so much, why would they leave their lands, not plant pawpaw there, and come here and do Galamsey? So it's not only the politician, the traditional authority, the security agencies who are involved, the locals. You see, the psyche, they need to be educated. Yes.
By who?
By those that have been mandated to do so.
I mean, the Minerals Commission, obviously, it doesn't look as if it's making so much strides in that direction.
The last time I spoke with some guy he's a former MMDC during the Honorable Tetecha's time, who was, where he was the MC, was a potential Galamsey area. He encountered them a lot. He was sharing some experience with me. You told him that zone, which takes about 7 districts, has only one person from the Minerals Commission as the supervisor.
You know the irony of the situation. The chairman of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obi, he is a chief. Right in his backyard, there's some bit of Galamsey.
That's a different matter. But you see,
that is the main matter.
If
you are the police and behind your door.
But as a person, as an individual, that's the point that I'm making. This is just one person.
He doesn't need to make an arrest. He needs to phone the IGP and say this is what people are here, come and pick them up. Yeah, but why hasn't he done that?
But people think that, yes, when the arrests are made, that's where the angle of the politicians come in.
Right.
They will use political power to get them.
Because they fund you.
I wouldn't say they fund us, but people are networks. They are linked. People may get their funding for their private enterprises from them. But you see, it's important that the Mineral Commission should also be empowered.
Okay.
The staff strength should be increased for them to do their job. The task forces that they are forming, as Honorable Tetecha said, shouldn't be a one-day thing that they go to Kenya one day and they come to Chebi and that they live there and people get the opportunity. And because they know that, yes, the security agencies will come. Then also there's a trend that when you tell them, when I remember I was privy to a discussion of the RESEC to do some monitoring somewhere. Before the end of the meeting, word had got into the Galamseyers that there was going to be some action.
In fact,
next morning.
It happened in Eastern Region yesterday. The people abandoned the Galamsey side and went out because they knew the minister was coming there.
Exactly.
So I don't know who gives the people information.
No, it is a cartel. And as you rightly said, there are people within the security services who are also involved.
Right.
Yeah, and so therefore, as for information gathering, they have it. So that is why I'm saying that it is not the picture that has been painted to us yesterday by the group that went round. That shouldn't be, it shouldn't satisfy us. Now, if government really wants to nip this thing in the bud, then the timelines that the minister gave, he should also give another timeline for the reclamation of the said lands. Because when that is done, then it means we are really ready for business. We should ensure that these sites, the lands have all been reclaimed within a period.
We're told that the Minister for Science and Technology and Innovation says all the rivers must be dredged so that we can at least have...
Yeah, there should be a schedule. Then that will tell us that we are really on course. But if these things are left the way we see them, then apart from, in some days they'll go there and continue.
Apart from the small scalers and those big companies who are the licenses and they are known by government to be mining, if they leave their pits open and we can tax them to do the reclamation. But Galamseyers, you can't get them because they are illegal entities.
No, government should go in.
I dare say that there are small-scale miners who have license from the Minerals Commission who are mining in the heart of rivers.
Yes.
We know them.
We know them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we have small scales, then you can identify that small-scale company A, B, Z are those who had the concessions here. We can go after them. But if they are Galamseyers, they are illegal entities. So where do you get them?
Professor Mills, late Professor Mills, bless his soul, he said that if this is what Galamsey looks like or mining looks like, then we should leave all the minerals underneath the earth. Have we gotten to that point yet? So we stop mining for some time.
We cannot leave our resources there.
Why?
We need to harness them.
Is that the only resource
we need to? Not only the resource. We see, it's Galamsey that today we are discussing, but the forest cover of the nation, the manner that change operations and all the rest are going on. I think Mr. Amewu's department or his ministry has work on the hands to do. It's not only
you think that if we focus on agric, we can make the kind of money that we get from gold?
No, but definitely once you have the resources, you harness them. The most important is
we harness them at what cost?
It's the correct regulations. You see, mining of Galamsey did not start 2 years ago. We have instances of Galamsey in the 80s, but the scale that they use
and that's what I'm asking. So if we focus on agric at this point, planting for jobs, and we stop mining for some time, are we able to compensate for what returns we make?
You see, the companies have been doing the mining for the nation or for themselves and getting some little benefits to the country. I've not read the law totally, but I think that what we receive from them is just some pittance. But if the companies are mining, as it was in the past, and that we did not have issues with water bodies and land reclamation and rest, that is the regulation. That yes, we need to harness the resources, but we need to do it in a regulated manner. That's the best thing. Then also, if we go into farming, as have been started by this government and the planning for food and jobs, if you are able to sustain it, definitely the hands that by your Bronzy, what's the name, Bronzy or whatever.
I don't know why he's not been picked. He's been invited. I don't know what happened to him.
I don't know. Well,
maybe clearly broke the law, clearly dead the president and everybody else. Maybe. And he's working for free.
Well,
under your watch.
You see, I'm not into security.
Yeah, I didn't say you're a party executive. So under your watch, and you understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I believe once he's known, definitely they are going to check the background.
Will you make a call to make sure that the right thing is done? You're here talking about commitment.
Such matters do not need phone calls. It's just a matter of once it's been to the public's knowledge.
It's been more than a month. Nothing has been done, really.
Somebody
should call. Somebody should call somebody.
No, it needs nobody calling because I believe Mr. Asante Peter, his team have gotten the videos and all that, and they will act definitely.
I have not seen action. I've only heard invitation. That's all.
There's an ultimatum given to them. I think ended yesterday.
Yes,
the action is going to follow.
Yes.
So if he's still,
it's not about the ultimatum. It's about the one who took a phone, did
that's
a
what
video,
I'm saying.
Dead everybody, including the president,
who dead
and used word like in Twatwa. You can't tell me the meaning of in Twatwa.
Twatwa is plenty talk.
You see, and they say these things based on previous experiences that we just make noise, and then at the end of the day, everything is swept under the carpet. But that's why I rightly said that it's good that today the media has been the center stage in this issue, and you need to focus on what government is really doing to end the menace. You see, if you look at the pits that they are digging all over, you ask a question that, look, is that the only maybe job that as a people we can do?
Right.
It is not the only job. But you see, the constitution itself mandates government, the state, to take in charge of the minerals within.
It is vested in the president.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. The land may belong to a chief, a stew, and so on and so forth. But the minerals within is invested in the state. And the president has control over it. So it takes the leadership to decide whether minerals has to be mined here. Now, if minerals has to be mined here, what measures would the government put in place to ensure that, one, the environment will not be degraded? That is very important. If you go to areas like South Africa, there are some of their old mining areas. If you are not told that this has been a mining area, you will never know.
Right.
And it tells you that they had a systematic plan to ensure that despite the mining activity, at the end of the day, the lands have been what? Reclaimed. And so therefore, the land may be put into other uses. But if you allow people to mine and then we don't have control over how they do the mining, that is some of the results that we are going to get. So for me, all the civil society groups, the various political parties, the media, we should ensure that finality is brought to this Galamsey menace.
I want us to talk about,
see, when we are looking at finality, then also we take the political angle from it, so that people don't take advantage and say that, yes, some governments said they were going to give you jobs and now they are taking the jobs from you. The moment you go on that tangent, you are encouraging them to go more into Galamsey. Right. So as a nation, if we all believe that this is a menace, definitely action should be taken. Therefore, all of us should work in concert as one people that we want to achieve this. Because I've been through it and I know the damage. But I was talking about some suggestions. It's not just a matter of driving them away from the site. Company A, bring your documentations. You were given the concession as small-scale miner. We go to your site. We look at your operations. Were you doing deep mining? Were you also, Galamseying per not per the regulator you were supposed to do small-scale? If you are you're going against the law, then the action should be taken. That will help us eliminate.
So we should not just drive them away.
Yeah,
we bring them to book.
We get the legalized operators, and we also can also target the illegal operator. Then also, there are people who take prospective licenses that they want to prospect. And they end up mining.
For large-scale prospecting mining,
yes.
and then they divide it.
If I go to get a prospecting license, definitely some eyes should be following me. Now technology is there. You don't need...
And prospecting licenses is not for mining.
It's not for mining. You are going to look at it if you have gold there. Now technology is such that you have an equipment, something, some small thing like a computer, this phone, you can take it to the site. It will indicate the type of metals that and the quantum of metals there. So they're taking excavators and caterpillars and the rest to degrade the land. I believe
it's the Buga method. Let's wrap up. GS is advised to review policy on sex education. The Public Health Nurse has urged the Ghana Education Service to review its policy on abstinence from sex and rather educate young girls about the proper usage of contraceptives in order to prevent teenage pregnancies. Sometime earlier this year, my colleague in the northern region, Zubaida Ismail, did a story up north where, we were here, where girls as low as 12, 13, some 9 years were pregnant, and they were rather resorting to sex and contraceptives because they couldn't abstain from sex. Here, a public health nurse.
9 years.
And these are the people, who
on pills?
And injectables and all of that. And it's happening in Ghana again. I can't say under your watch. But
in Ghana, that is
but moving on. So this is a real problem on the hand. The public health nurse is the one who goes out there into the village, the nook and cranny, and she's putting forward this advice. Is it a good call?
For me, the last time when that issue came out, I made it clear that the method that was being used for me wasn't right. Because that would rather encourage more social violence to occur. What we need to do is rather to educate, increase the level of awareness. Look, children of these days are highly, highly sensitive, knowledgeable. And so therefore, whatever you start with them, they are able to easily assimilate exactly what you want to discuss with them. So what we rather need to do is to ensure that counseling at that level is raised very, very high. Instead of introducing them to set, because look, those pills and so on and so forth also have side effects. And using it for children at that stage, for me, I don't think is the proper thing to do. We should rather increase the level of education awareness. Let us ensure that our children know the implication of venturing into such ventures, the effects. And then by so doing, a lot of them will shy away.
At what age must we start the children off with this kind of education?
once the child becomes very sensitive, because look,
At what age?
At what age? Well, for me, from 8,
From upper
9,
primary.
Yeah. Upper primary. That would be from
class
5,
yeah,
4, 5.
So 9 years, 9, 10.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
upper primary.
Yeah. And should be sustained. You see, the problem with us is whenever we take an initiative, we are not able to sustain it, and then dies down. You have to if this is what we want to do, sex education. It shouldn't be just announced by maybe the GES or the Ministry of Health, and then within a term, people rush into the schools to educate the children, and then that is it. It should be sustained so that it becomes a regular feature.
Right.
By so doing, you know, those of us who actually went to Sunday school, our parents ensured that we were actively involved in Sunday school.
Okay.
You see, it helped you, the individual, to actually have a certain way of life, because it's something that has been sustained over the period. Right. So that same line of action should be sent into the schools. It shouldn't be a 9-day wonder.
Okay.
A term, counselors rush into the schools, educate the children, and then that is it. It should be sustained.
Mr. Sampai, the nurse, Sarah Ejepong, Sunyani Municipal Hospital in Brong-Ahafo region, explained that the education of abstinence taught in schools has not yielded results. And I'm tempted to agree with her, because in Sunyani, that's where, or in the Brong-Ahafo region, that's where we have the highest level of teenage pregnancy. So she perhaps knows something that we all don't know, or perhaps we have not paid attention to. What more can we do?
It's a part of, it's not a one-day thing. It's a part of the curriculum for education at that level, the basic level. Even at the senior high school level, with social studies, they have a component.
You only talked about the changes that occur in your body.
No, not
and
that.
how you should use lime and shave and all of that.
Not only the changes. They get into this, but it's an issue. I'm a teacher myself,
right.
And I know that people find it difficult, especially the males, when it gets to this portion of educating the children, that the mentioning of certain parts and some actions to be taken.
Is it a cultural problem?
It's cultural from our training, from our traditions. But you see, one thing that we are forgetting is those who are the targeted group. Now, when you look at the records, the 9 years and the 13 years, you go to places where poverty is so endemic that it's difficult for parents to even feed their children, and therefore they leave them to themselves to fend for themselves. As late as 1 a.m. you find 12 years strutting the streets, and it's a difficulty. So it's not only a matter of education, but it should be a concerted effort by the assemblies and all that, livelihood programs. Okay, the leap that we have, how are we going to improve it? What do we do to enhance job creation and all that? If we have all of these together, it's also going to be in a matter of time to check that potency. But as per the policy, I believe, I've not read the last policy on it, but as I know, it's part of...
There's poverty in the mix, and these girls, yield to sex because their parents are not able to take care of them. The last story we did.
It's also about the breakdown of our cultural norms. It's not only the girls. I mean, some are pregnant by 14-year-olds. They are not made pregnant by adults, always adults. So if they are made pregnant by adults who are employed, that's why you tell me that, totally all of them are. But they are also,
by
because
they
are asked, because of poverty, they are asked to go fend for themselves. So they end up sleeping in the streets, walking around there, exposed to the dangers of lurking males. So that is it. It's not only about, we have teenagers who are also into I have experience in my hometown where a 13-year-old got pregnant by a 14-year-old boy. I mean, so they were not adults, they are teenagers, and definitely they're going to give birth to a very, very teen. So, so it's an issue, but with the syllabus, I believe, yes, we should also take that cultural thing that inhibits us from going ahead to mention it as it is, teach them all about it. And also, as Tete said, the potential of the effects of these drugs. Because definitely, even the adults who will not go off getting pregnant, and on these tracks come out with. And even when you look at the labels, that they talk about effects, side effects.
Right.
So if they're going to use at that level, we're also looking at the fertility rates of the nation.
Exactly.
That apart from encouraging that. But I believe our counseling sections within the schools and all that should be empowered.
Do they exist at all?
They don't exist.
Do they exist? You're a teacher. Do they exist?
Not.
Is yes or no? On paper they exist, but in reality,
but in certain schools you have them. But the other time I was advocating, and I was even telling my good friend Dr. Poku Prempe to take it up as one of the key things. If we make what do you call it, counseling independent, because when you go to the secondary schools and other schools, I am an English teacher, but I have one of our counselors who's done a master's in counseling, who also an English tutor. She teaches English and does the counseling as well. So why don't we decouple it? Make counseling a department of itself. People will go and do counseling. Then they will come and set up. So they have 12 hours at the office with the students, and that it will be an effective thing for us all. But if you have part-time counselors, definitely...
I know that back in JSS, I mean, if you were going to pick out your schools for secondary school, they found a vibrant teacher in the school to guide you through.
Yeah,
so they look at your test score, and then they guide you through it. So that person necessarily doesn't have any training in counseling. It just looks at your test score, whether you cheated in the exam to make the test score, they don't care. Then they decide that by the look of your attitude, how neat you are in school and how you are comported, maybe you should go to a crack.
So that's a little bit exaggerated.
No, it is not. I'm telling you this for a fact because the system I went through, I mean, they would tell our parents what schools we should go. Sometimes a parent says, I want my son to go to Prosecco. It says, oh, Obano Shedanya de or Mas Munti, Obeya Maninko.
Of course, that's,
they do that.
You see, I have my students. Now, I teach English there. And I know those who are good, those who can make it, those, the art students, those who can advise them to offer maybe law, do this, the businesses and all that. That most of the teachers, if you are serious in class and you know your students, you can prescribe.
But most of them are not serious. That's the suggestion.
Oh no, I'm just using it as an example. Then you can advise the parents that yes, they could see or Amma good this so you suggest that this. But we also have counselors as part of the counseling department. They are also into placement because those who are professional, like Zisha that I mentioned, they have been taught how to look out, what to do, and how to give them placements and all that. But constant, I think, as you said, we shouldn't make it when it's getting to the end of the year that we do. But it should be a constant thing that from day one, that they will know where they want to move. So that by the time they get to Form 3, to the last level of their secondary education, they know that, yes, if I'm going out, I'm going to
Honorable, thank you very much for coming. I hear that people are calling for you in 2020. Are you ready to go back to Parliament?
That's my seat now. That I was telling you. He knew he was going to lose, so he decided not to go for the private.
It's early days here.
But he says he's coming for your seat, so.
No, I said it's my seat. You see that
for some time.
You see that for one term or for 2 terms.
Well, he's taking over. We also want to see him succeed. So at the end of the day, it's the 4 years. So after the 4 years, the good people of the constituency will look at the performances, and based on that, we shall see.
I see. Are you consulted? Does he consult you as a member of Parliament? Consult?
Oh, yes,
is that?
It's a good friend to me.
That's how we're supposed to do our politics. I mean, I know that we've been on several shows. He's a nice gentleman. We always have good conversation. And so if you all go on that tangent, when the thing is 2, we'll say it's 2. Don't let it say that we need to go.
Thank you. Mr. Sampine, General Secretary, MPP.
And the Regional Secretary. The General Secretary.
Regional Secretary, MPP, Ashanti Region, and Honorable Theophilus Letachai is the Member of Parliament, former Member of Parliament for the Ablekuma Central Constituency. Stay with us here. Sports is up next after this.